Just one more moment. Okay, we are ready.
All right, this is the Airport Advisory Committee meeting online via Zoom, hopefully for the last time, Tuesday, June 8, 2021. My name is Tom Reed and I'm the chair.
Okay, we're ready.
Call this meeting to order. And our first activity is to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Rubio, do you have a flag for us to show us, or should I hold mine up here? I've got one right here.
So my apologies. Give me just
That's
one
okay.
second.
We got you. We got you
Feedback.
covered. So let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
The flag
The
of
flag
the United States of
of the
of
America,
America
Republic,
and
for
to the
justice,
republic
for
which
which
stands
stands
indivisible,
one nation,
liberty,
under God, liberty,
indivisible,
for all.
for all.
I think it was a valid attempt. Okay, so let's have a call to order. I can see all your shining faces on here, but we have to do this to make it legal. And when I call your name, you shall say present. Mike Ogilvie.
Present.
Thank you. Buzz Gibbs, I do not think is present, so he's not here. Lisa Golden.
Present.
Thank you. Gary List. I see you, but you're muted. I'm going to call you here. Gill, I see you. Okay. Now, whoops, what happened to my screen? Oh, there it is. Okay. Jim Aldrich, he's not here. Ron Lee.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Rich Martindale. I see you.
I am present.
There you are. Thank you, General. And David Gordon. I anticipate David Gordon will be joining us, but he's not here for right now. And Tom Ricotta.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we are MYF Air Traffic Control Tower representative is not going to be with us today. I will fill in just a brief statement about what I've talked about with them over the week. And also joining us today is City of San Diego Airport's Division Deputy Director Jorge Rubio and members of his fine staff. Before we get into today's agenda, I'm going to call on Director Rubio to run down some of the guidelines for today's meeting.
Yes, good afternoon. First, I actually wanted to introduce Penny Moss. She's the Real Estate Assets Director that joined the city a few weeks ago. So Penny, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, but she is in charge of real estate assets, and she is honoring with her presence today.
Hi,
Good afternoon. Nice to meet everyone. I'm happy to be here and really excited to be involved with Jorge and his team and both of the airports.
Thank you. So these are the instructions. There are buttons on your Zoom bar that pop up when you move the mouse. The camera icon is to activate your video. The microphone is to mute and unmute. Please remember to stay muted when you are not talking and to unmute yourself when you speak. The chat window is disabled. Please use the raise hand feature to signal when you'd like to speak. When wanting to make a motion, second a motion, or participate in a discussion, please use the raise hand and Chair Reed will call on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Rubio. We will now move to non-agenda public comment. The public was invited to submit public comment on agenda and non-agenda items via a web form accessible through the agenda and the commission website to verbally address the AAC. The public must have previously used the web form. Staff will read aloud public comment submitted per the city public comment protocol. Was there any non-agenda public comment, Director Rubio?
There is no comment submitted.
Thank you. Moving along to the approval of minutes from May 11th, 2021. Are there any public comments for this agenda item?
No public comment for this agenda item either.
Okay, I hope everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes as they are?
Ron Lee makes a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Rich Martindale seconds.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll open it up for discussion. If there is anything that anybody would like to talk about with these minutes, please bring them up. Okay, let's take a vote, and I'm going to run through the agonizing Zoom protocol for voting in an AAC meeting, which is I'm going to ask you for your vote. You can say yay, nay, or abstain. Mike Ogilvie.
Yay.
Okay. Lisa Golden.
Yay.
Thank you. Gary List.
Yay.
Thank you. Chuck McGill.
Yay.
Thank you. Ron Lee.
Yay.
Thank you. Rich Martindale.
Yay.
Thank you. Tom Ricotta.
Yay.
And I vote yay. So it's unanimous that we have approved the meetings. Thank you for that. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished items?
No unfinished items.
All right. New business. Do we have any new business or public comment on new business?
So Mr. Gibbs was not able to attend, and we're pulling this item, and we're going to reschedule it for a future time, but there was no public comment for this item.
Okay, thankfully. All right. Staff reports. Is there any public comment on staff reports?
We did not receive any public comment on staff reports.
All right. Well, Director Rubio, I'm going to turn it over to you, and your staff can give their reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I just wanted to share a few things high level. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But I just wanted to share that last night, the FAA announced that Shanira Griffin would be the new Associate Administrator for Airports. She is joining the FAA with more than 30 years of experience in the airport industry. She has worked as a Chief Development Officer at the Columbus Regional Airport Authority, and she has also held positions at the Indianapolis Airport Authority, Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and she is also being a consultant in the private sector. So she definitely has a lot of experience. The other item that I wanted to touch on is about vehicle pedestrian deviations. This is something that I feel is very important because we as airports, obviously we have safety in mind. So I just wanted to remind everyone who is listening to this meeting that in order to drive onto or to walk onto any active runway or taxiway when the tower is open, you need two things. One, you need the airport administrator's approval. That means us, airports, the city. And second, you actually need to have communication, and that is active communication with the air traffic control tower. If you don't have this, then you are not to go out there. Failure to do may result in an accident, and we definitely don't want that. But also, a vehicle pedestrian deviation is what it's called, resulting in an investigation from the FAA on who the infractor is, who the tenant is that person came from. It could be a tenant, it could be a visitor, and also it could result in fines from the city. So it is very important that you abide by that, and we have our rules and regulations, and you can see them on our website. But I just wanted to reiterate that it's something that we find that sometimes if you're a pilot, you feel like you can go out there, and that's really not the case. When you're on an aircraft, you can do that. But other than that, please get approval from us. If you really have an immediate need to go out, staff will work with you. They will escort you out. But please don't walk out there without any radios or without our approval. Third, and this is, I would say, some good news about Brownfield. The FAA just issued the finding of no significant impact and the record of decision for Metropolitan Air Park. And They released it just on Friday. So we will be publishing in the paper that this information is available. It will be out for 60 days. So if you'd like to review that information, you're going to be able to do so. And we are looking to publish that tomorrow. So be sure to visit our website. It will be there on the front page. Now, this is an item that has been a little bit controversial, but as you know, I've mentioned it before, we as the city are looking to bring unleaded fuel to our city airports. We believe that the leaded fuel should stop at some point. And city staff has spoken with Swift Fuels about the UL 94 fuel alternative that's out there. And I've actually reached out to the FBOs. So I will be setting up meetings with the FBOs and Swift Fuels to see if there's a possibility that they can come to an agreement and we can start providing that type of fuel. There has been some controversy, either if the fuel can be mixed or not mixed. I mentioned at a previous meeting with a regular leaded fuel, and the manufacturer still insists that it can be used. So I just wanted to clarify that to you. And the FBOs are going to be learning a little bit more, and we will be providing you with more information later on. Now, in regards to CBP at Brownfield Municipal Airport, we are still having those conversations with the CBP about the temporary facility at Brownfield, and staff from what used to be Public Works, Engineering Capital Projects has met with them. We have been down there on a couple of visits. Still nothing is concrete, but we are looking at potentially building CBP a facility. That is an item that when that motion is to be carried out, we will be bringing for this body to review, and it will go through the proper channels of land use and housing and ultimately City Council for approval. Two more things, item number 6, in regard to the parachuting drop zone by the Navy next to Brownfield Municipal Airport. It looks like the FAA is going to be putting a panel together to conduct a safety risk management review towards the end of July. And we're going to be waiting for that. I don't know if we're going to be invited to be on that panel, but we're hoping that we will. And once that determination happens, you're going to see if the Navy will be able to drop or not drop next to the airport. Again, I just wanted to clarify that we do believe it's an operation that will affect potentially the safety of our airport, but we as airports, we don't determine safety. That's the job of the FAA. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then ultimately, the airfield generative sweeper for Brownfield is at the distribution center. It still needs to get some decals and it will be delivered. We're hoping to get it delivered probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And after that, we will train our staff so that they can use it. That is my update. Now, if you have any questions for me, please ask, and then I will continue with the rest of staff. Okay.
Mike Ogilvie has raised his hand.
I noticed that the acquisition of 2 sweepers, one for Brown, one for Montgomery, was sort of out of sync with each other. And I was curious if there's a risk of getting bids for Montgomery, or whichever one is second, I forget which, but is that guaranteed you're going to have the same equipment at both airports?
So it is,
since they're not a coordinated procurement.
So Mr. Ogilvie, we actually try to obtain the same type of equipment as best as we can. So we have specifications for sweepers that are that have to meet the minimum requirements. What I have to say is for Brownfield, we decided to do that because we had some expiring funds last year that the airport had not used. So we wanted to put those funds to good use, and these funds are coming from FAA grant funding. So they're paying for 100% of that sweeper at Brownfield. for Montgomery Gibbs, we wanted to put that in place first at Brownfield, learn from it a little bit more, and then purchase the one for Montgomery Gibbs. And that's what we're doing. But the FAA is the one who is going to be paying for the majority of it. Our understanding is that they will potentially be actually paying not for only 90%, but 100% of the sweeper for Montgomery Gibbs.
So my question is there any chance that those sweepers will be different from each other?
Most likely.
Ah, interesting.
Mhm. Thank you. So now I will proceed with Enza Charles from our assets team.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll start with corporate helicopters. They will be resubmitting the project to DSD this month in June. For 8110 Arrow Drive, which is the Sheraton Four Points Hotel, we are currently working with the city attorney on legal issues related to the collection of the monies owed to the city and the recapture of Parcel B. Montgomery Field Office and Retail Complex. For the office space, 8525 Gibbs, the MOU for the phase 1 for engineering capital projects has been signed and commenced on June 1st of this year, or this month here. ECP has started moving in. The retail center, the building exterior refurbishment is planned for this summer. We're hoping we can start. Roof replacement is for fiscal year 2022. We are developing a policy for signs, so everything matches and is new. And then we are also finalizing the RFP for the brokers to assist us in leasing the retail space. We are currently, we have no current hangars or tie downs available. Everything has been leased.
Wow.
Let's see here. Crown Air leasehold, the amendment for the for the option area 1 is still being reviewed with our city attorney's office. 9575 Arrow Drive, we are working on the sale. That is for the property that is co-owned with ARC of San Diego. And we have confirmed that the sales proceeds will go to Airports Enterprise Fund. The Carlsbad Advanced Aircraft Service, we are processing the lease at this time. And that is our update.
May I just ask you a quick question? The advanced lease, are they currently up there now, or are they only at Montgomery Advanced Aircraft?
I believe they're currently there, but we're processing an updated lease, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so they are here. They're just getting their lease renewed. They started out in Carlsbad, but they've been at Montgomery for many years. So the lease is just being renewed, I believe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the one other thing that I wanted to mention is because ECP is moving into the first building that we did some improvements, we're actually going to be seeing a rent of $500,000 a year from that operation. So that's good news for us.
Wow.
Now, let's go with Charles Broadbent, the airport manager for Montgomery Gibbs.
All right, thank you, Jorge. Good afternoon, committee members. Just would like to go over a couple things. The localizer construction was completed May 15th. The flight check was conducted, and and the ILS was put back into service May 25th. So that's all back up and running. There were over 25,000 operations conducted at the airport here at MYF in May. The airport is receiving a MO. It started June 7th, and it will go through this week, and hopefully they can finish up next week. We're working on filling the vacant utility worker 2 and airport operations assistant positions. We're working on an LOA with the tower to basically working to finalize a draft LOA to add the hold position markings to runway 523. And that'll be south of runway 28 left, and it will mitigate for the hot spot that's there now. I talked to Joel Ryan today, and he wanted me to relay some information. So I'll just go over that now. When I talked to him, Joel Ryan let me know that due to a close call that happened last Friday involving a pilot that did not hold short of runway 28 left on runway 23, when another pilot was cleared for the option on runway 28 left, the tower will no longer give the clearance, basically cleared for the option clearances. They'll require the pilots to specify either is it a full stop, is it a touch and go, or is it a stop and go? They'll no longer give that clearance that basically states that cleared for the option, which would be an option either to touch and go land or do a touch and go or to land. So they're hoping that will help kind of clarifying what the traffic is actually going to do so the controllers could catch any kind of deviation before it becomes an issue, before it becomes a safety issue. And then basically with that, on ATIS, the ATIS will broadcast information to pilots that are exiting runway 23, instructing them to hold short of runway 28 left, adjacent to the hold position signage on runway 23. So that'll be kind of new on the ATIS and a new clearance that will be given basically instead of the bulk clearance cleared for the option. And that'll coincide with our draft LOA that's being reviewed right now, and hopefully we can get the markings painted on runway 28 left that would, or runway 23, excuse me, that would mitigate for that hot spot even further. So that's all I have today. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Hey, Charlie, I know you're filling in for Ryan on this, and it's really not your area of expertise, but could you cover again, if they have somebody that's rolling out on 28 right, and that pilot says 23 okay, and they say yes, 23 is okay, hold short 28 left, is that when they're not going to issue options on 28 left?
No, basically they just won't give you could still do a touch and go on 28 left. You could still do a full stop. They just won't give that clearance that states basically cleared for the option. That would give the pilot the option to either do a full stop or a touch and go.
I got it. So they're just going to eliminate the option. If you state touch and go, that's fine. If you state full stop, that's fine, but you got to stick with it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because in that situation that happened on Friday, the pilot that was landing on 28 left was cleared for the option. And that kind of, and then when the other pilot didn't hold short, it kind of caused an issue. So Joel was hoping that would basically mitigate for that occurrence. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. It did.
Chair Reed, I think Ms. Golden has a question.
Hi there. Yes, my question is this, the option is usually a big training technique, especially for new pilots who may or may not be able to control the plane as well. So they want to train them, obviously, to be able to stop the plane if necessary or take off again if there's a problem and not hit somebody else that might be deviating on the runway. So are you guys going to be able to effectively get notice out to all of these instructors and all of these flying clubs and everybody else? I mean, how are you going to get that out fast enough? Or when does it become when does it take effect?
I think I can answer that question for you, Lisa. It's going to be issued in the tower's command to the pilot. At the time, they'll say you're cleared for touch and go. Period. That doesn't mean full stop, or they'll say you're cleared for a full stop landing.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, instructors are going to be assuming that they can still have their students up there and they can use that until somebody tells them that that is no longer available. I'm just saying, obviously the pilot who's flying is going to, ask for an option and the tower's going to say, sorry, it's not available anymore. But I guess, is that how you're going to get the notice out to your instructors that they can no longer request that, or they can no longer have an option before they get into a plane? Are you guys going to disseminate that information?
Yeah, as far as I understood, Joel Ryan was gonna reach out to the different pilot groups, and we'll help him with that as well. But on the immediate level, it'll be in conjunction with the ATIS information that is instructing pilots. The tower controller will no longer give that clearance and instruct the student and the instructor, if it is in that case, that clearance is no longer available. So
yeah, if it's on the ATIS, that answers my question. That's all I wanted to know. I just want to make sure everybody was going to be able to, follow that or know that ahead of time before they start telling their students to do things that they aren't cleared for. All right, as long as it's on the ATIS, we're good.
Okay.
The only thing that I wanted to add there is I think runway 28 right is still going to be available for the option. Is that correct, Charlie?
From what I understood, and Joel Ryan could clarify that at the next meeting, and I could clarify with him, but it won't be allowed it won't be given on either runway. It just won't be available anymore.
Thank you. So let's go now with the Brownfield Airport Manager, Andy Schwartz.
Good afternoon. I just have a few things to add to the Brownfield Airport report. I want to start by saying we were finally able to get Gate 2 repaired. We just got it repaired a couple of weeks ago, and no sooner had we got it repaired than we had another incident on the perimeter fence where we had somebody drive through the southwest portion of our perimeter fence over there off of Otay Mesa Road. So Gate 2 is repaired. We actually also got we got some feedback from one of the tenants about some issues with the gate phone. So we lubricated the dials there, and that should be working more efficiently now. So Gate 2 is back up and working, and we are actually have a date for the contractor to come out, which will be next Monday, to come and repair the perimeter fence off of Otay Mesa Road. Powerland was just out here doing a mow. They just finished up last week, so that is done. We've also the team has been working out on, as I've mentioned in previous reports, the team's been working out on the taxiways, doing some rockland repair. We've also been working at weed abatement out there as well, getting rid of some of the weeds that are out there on the runways and the cracks between the taxiways and all that type of stuff. So everything's starting to look really good. We also, in the spirit of hangar inspections, we are doing our fire extinguisher inspections. We are working on getting those done for the terminal building and all our vehicles and all our offices. So we'll have a contractor coming out to take care of that. One last item, I was notified by the tower manager that to expect an RSAT meeting for Brownfield toward the end of July. So I don't have an exact date on that yet, but once I have that, I will get that out there. I will disseminate that. That's all I have at this time. Does anybody have any questions?
Chair Reed, I think Ms. Golden has a question.
No. Lisa has her hand up, but I think it's from the last one.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
The only thing that I wanted to mention there is RSAT stands for Runway Safety Action Team, for those that are not familiar. But thank you, Andy. So that is the staff report for airports.
All right, so if we're completed with the staff report, that moves us to the air traffic control tower report, which we don't have an air traffic control tower representative here today, but I would like to say that Eric Granillo, the supervisor of the tower, contacted me earlier this week in regards to multiple callbacks to aircraft that failed to read back their hold short and runway assignments with their call sign, which seems like a very simple thing to do. You always have to read back your call sign with the runway assignment or the hold short assignment. So we did a massive publication to all the +1 members, both on Facebook, the website, and an individual email to everybody telling them that this is what's going to happen if you, you're going to get a phone number if you don't obey the rules. It's a violation and they're going to start enforcing it. So I'd like to just make sure that goes on public record, and also congratulate the tower because they've been promoted in their level. And I'm going to probably get this wrong, but I think they were a level 7 and now they're a level 8, which means that they're handling over 1,000 operations a day. And they are now considered the next level at air traffic controllers, which means they get paid more and they have more responsibility. So congratulations to the tower team for doing such a great job. Let's see. So I need to ask if there were any public comments regarding air traffic control tower report.
There was no public comment.
Okay, now we're legal and can move on. Other reports.
Hey, Tom.
Dave?
A suggestion that if you take the same note you sent out to +1 and maybe send it to SLUCA and Coast, because the flight schools, I hear a lot of their students doing the same thing.
I'll do it.
You know, just share that information.
I'll do it. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's hard to tell whether it's the flight schools or it's the transient pilots. But I know I have firsthand experience with a +1 airplane. ATC was asked 4 times. They need your hold short. They need the runway. They need your tail number. And he was able to get one of those in each of the 4 callbacks until the very end when he finally got it all. And I know who it was, but we'll talk to him.
Okay.
Okay, so I was asking Director Rubio if there was any public comment on other reports.
There's no public comment for this.
And no other reports. And we're at committee comments at this point. Are there any public comments for the agenda item committee comments? Nope. All right. That is it for this meeting. I know these are agonizing meetings and I appreciate everybody's cooperation and good sportsmanship in attending these things via Zoom. And hopefully we'll find out, but hopefully we'll be able to attend this one in person in July 13th. So that next meeting is Tuesday, July 13th at 3 o'clock, hopefully at the MYF administration building. If not, we'll let you know. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Hey, Tom, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
I was trying to ask when the next pilot meetings are.
We are scheduling that pilot meeting for July. We will send the notification out via email.
And can I make one last comment on the issue of the option of the stop and go, or excuse me, the touch and go or the stop? I was just going to suggest that maybe that would be a good thing to reconsider, because that's an extremely valuable training tip or training tool for student pilots, especially if you have something like that. You have a new pilot and dog runs out across the runway, or you know, any kind of strange deviation where they have to you know, change plans abruptly. It's probably a good training tool that you guys might want to reconsider, especially if you're going to paint the 2-3 runway anyway with hold short lines. And then last comment was, in the future for Tom, I know it's hard for you to do that long roll call for stuff. I don't know if it's available to you, but perhaps if you say all the yays, hit your raise hand button and all the, that might solve that problem. So you don't have to go through the whole list. Just have everybody hit their raised hand when you say everybody.
Thank you for that suggestion, but we have to do it via the protocol prescribed by the powers that be. So that's why we have to read those legal paragraphs
Oh, okay.
every time we switch. You're
No. I meant when
something
you
that
do
has to
like,
do with
okay, all the
common sense
yays.
and logic, and you're applying common sense and logic to a situation.
I just figure if you're saying, hey, anybody, for this motion, or how many yays do we have? Everybody should be able to raise their hand with their little button instead of you having to call roll.
Hopefully,
That's
we'll
what
never have to do it again.
Okay. All right.
All right, guys. Well, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Okay.
Thank you. See you guys later. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Tennis.
See you next month. Have a good night.
Bye.